What if I told you that the world you live in is fake? That the ideas you see in politics on social media are not, in fact, real opinions of real people? What if I told you that when you go on X, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and someone responds to your post, they are, in fact, an illusion meant to control your mind? I know it sounds funny and silly, but I'm trying to make it as ominous as possible. This story is very important. HBO staffer was forced to write mean tweets under anonymous accounts to TV critics who trashed the cable network's shows, new lawsuit reveals. But there's something deeper here. The truth is, large corporations employ people to make fake accounts to manipulate public opinion. It's been going on for some time. Governments do it. Intelligence agencies do it. And here we can see HBO had a woman complain about journalists or critics who were critical of HBO shows. And it's just one example of how bad the problem really is. Some of the tweets were relatively woke. And thus, that's the game being played. That's why I don't care for anonymous accounts. And you know what the funniest thing is? The funniest thing. Look, having an anonymous account, I don't care. But back before Elon was in charge of X, and it was Twitter, I said, stop interacting with anonymous accounts. I said something like, stop interacting with accounts that have cartoon pictures and fake names, and your experience will greatly improve. And oh boy, did the bots get so mad. I think it's funny when the left calls everyone bots, because they're not always bots. But my point is to be intentionally divisive. Maybe divisive isn't the right word. To sling insults and invective at bots specifically, not people who use anonymous accounts. But my point is this. I understand there's a lot of people who want to use anonymous accounts for important reasons. The founding fathers wrote under pseudonyms because of fear of persecution. Sure. I think we're at a point where you cannot, if you want to win, hide. You have to be public about what you believe to overwhelm the cultural mechanisms in this country. But my point is simply this. I know for a fact a large portion, maybe even a majority, of accounts with stupid names and cartoon pictures are probably not real people. I've known this because I've been on the internet my whole life. I know what sock puppets are. And now there's just more and more proof that it's happening. This time, allegedly, from HBO. So my friends, look, when I tweeted about stop interacting with these accounts, I'm willing to bet a large portion of those who got really mad were in fact fake accounts run by intel agencies, media outlets, and corporations, terrified that someone of influence would be saying, stop working with these people. Now, me tweeting this is not on the scale of Elon Musk buying the platform, but this is why they're so mad. Elon Musk's core mission is to eliminate the bots. And guess what? He's doing it. They're freaking out because Elon Musk wants to charge $1 per year to all accounts. And he said it's the only way to get rid of bots. It's brilliant. They'll make the argument he's destroying the platform. They said when he bought it a year ago that it was the end of Twitter. A year later, even though the platform's massively successful, they're like, it's the end of Twitter again. Okay, whatever you want to say, I'll tell you this. When Elon Musk goes to advertisers and says, the numbers we deliver you are guaranteed to be real people, his ads are going to be worth gold. Because I'll tell you, we do ad reads on Timcast. And what I hear from all of our sponsors, go to castbrew.com and buy coffee today to support the show. What I hear from our sponsors all the time is they're like, dude, the return was massive. What's this all about? You know, you did a shout out for our company and then we sold way more than we normally do with these ads. Here's what happens. You'll spend, let's say a company will spend $5,000 on a series of ads to appear on a particular network. And they'll be like, we spent $5,000 and we sold $6,000 in product. So, you know, or it's like we made $6,000 in profit. It's a better way to put it. Because if that was the margin. And so they're like, we made $1,000. It's like, it's okay. We'll keep buying ads. Then they spend $5,000 on Timcast IRL. And they're like, we sold $20,000, $30,000 of the product for the same price. How is that possible? Because our viewers are real. Because our numbers are real. And this is one of the reasons I was like, we should probably launch our own company, castbrew.com. Because we know we have a premium audience, you guys. We know that at the rare time we do shout outs on Timcast or Timcast IRL, the sales are through the roof. I don't want to call anybody's companies out or anything like that. Some of them are friends and they're like, we'd like to buy a spot. We rarely do them. We almost never do them now at all. And so you have some companies and they're like, how is it that we were selling, like this generic product and it was 5 or 6 times as much? When you buy ads on these other networks, it's bot traffic. And so what happens is you get these you'll buy, I don't want to name any social networks because I don't know their exact numbers, but you'll spend $5,000. They'll say you got 5 million views and you go, wow. Well, not really. It's a 500,000 views. And you'll go, wow, that's a lot of views, but I only sold 100, bags of product. I guess most people don't like my product. No, it's actually that most of the views are fake. They are bots. They are farms. They generate traffic. So the whole game is rigged. Elon Musk attacking the bots triggers these companies because they're scamming everybody. Now what's going to happen is advertisers are going to say, I'm going to spend $100 on Twitter. I only got 1,000 views, but I sold 600 products. How is that possible? The margins are so high. And Elon's going to say, those other numbers are fake. These are the real numbers, which helps you improve your business. That's why what Elon is doing is so important. Aside from the free speech stuff, far from perfect, but good. Check this out. HBO staffer was forced to write mean tweets. Check out the story. Claims made by a former HBO staffer reveal the network CEO demanded an employee make secret social media accounts to respond to online criticism. In papers filed at the LA Superior Court, Sully Tamori claims Casey Bloys, the studio's CEO, was commanding a secret army to push back against TV critics posting unfavorable reviews of HBO titles. Now, here's the best part. Let's look at some of these tweets. So Alan Sepinwall says HBO's The Nevers should have been Joss Whedon's triumphant return to television. Instead, it's very messy for both creative reasons and an accumulation of real-world allegations against its creator. Fake account Kelly Shepard says Alan is always predictably safe and scared in his opinions. Funny. I love this one. Adam Sternberg says, question, if they are called The Touched, why is the show called The Nevers? Seemed like it should have been called The Touched. Fake account says, answer, don't get your panties in a bunch. The show just started. And again, how shocking that 2 middle-aged white men are ishing on a show about women. Ah! Fake woke outrage for profit right there in front of your faces. Major corporations pretending to be people on the internet to make money. My friends, the dead internet theory is real. Everyone's an illusion. The world, the reality is all around you fake. And the only thing you can do is go outside and touch grass, apparently. I don't know the degree to which people are fake, but I think Elon Musk is doing one of the most important things someone could be doing right now. And it's mostly due to the fact that he has capability to do it. Thank you for building satellites, Elon Musk, for which you have generated copious amounts of loose change, as it were, for which you could buy Twitter and then purge the corruption from the system. Facebook is fake. YouTube is fake. Instagram is fake. It's really funny. I see these shows, these other podcasts. It's the funniest thing. The funniest thing. These big podcasts, they get so many views. Timcast IRL is consistently the most viewed live show on YouTube primetime in terms of concurrent viewership and audience. We average, I think, on YouTube. This week's been a little slow. It is what it is. It also depends on the scale of stories, who the guests are. But we do probably like 500K to maybe like 700K per episode. And then they usually do podcast tracking by like 90 days. So within 24 hours, IRL episodes usually get on all podcast platforms around 100,000 views. And then on YouTube, it's about 300,000 views. But then over the span, it goes up to around 500,000, plus the clips get another 500,000 or so. I look at this and I think what's really interesting is the reaction. First, revenue we generate relative to other channels' revenue. I think a lot of people are faking it. I think a lot of what you see online is fake. And perhaps we may be some of there are a few channels that are doing it legitimately. But here's how the game works. Podcasts will pretend to get a lot of views to sell ads. Yeah. And when the advertiser doesn't sell product, they say, well, maybe people just don't like your product. But if you want access to 1 million views, I don't do any of that. I just go on the internet and I just talk or whatever. Sometimes we get a lot of views. Sometimes we don't get a lot of views. Views have been split. Rumble has taken like 30% of the views from YouTube. So, when I say those numbers, also, if we include all cross-platform, it's like much bigger than that. But it's funny to me that We have the amount of interest we have on people wanting to come on the culture war and Timcast IRL, people posting their screenshots from IRL on Twitter as their avatars. And I know it's a political space, so we're not in like general entertainment. But there's two things. One, not every podcast or every media platform is fake followers. It's just less engagement, more passive. Whereas our followers probably are more engaged. But I think the reality is this. I think most of these companies, most of these platforms are lying about their ratings, lying about how many fans they have, how many followers they have. Take a look at like the New York Times Twitter account, millions upon millions of followers, X account, sorry. And then look at how much engagement they get. That's the reality. I want, with this segment, I just want you to understand the numbers are meaningless. It really is. It's meaningless to me. When I look at some of these other companies and they're like, we made this many views. And I'm like, then why is your revenue so low? Why is Timcast getting half of the views you get with 10 times the revenue? Why? We have real people. Real people do real work generates real revenue. Fake views don't do nothing for nobody. But the mainstream media wants to maintain the image among the general public that they are the big dogs. They're not. Ultimately, the point is this. Be discerning. Many of these people are lying to you on the internet. They're not real. Don't argue with 14-year-olds using fake accounts. But the other thing is, we are the mainstream media. It's us. They want to create the image that these shows are getting millions of views so that when people watch a show like mine, they say, oh, Tim doesn't get that many views. But the reality is HBO had allegedly, fake tweets. You think the rest of it is real? Look into the phenomena 10 years ago of ad rights distribution. I know big people who follow me for a long time know this story, but I'll tell you again, for those that don't. Big media companies would buy the rights to views. Here's what happens. A company will make a page and it's like 25 celebrities with big noses. And then you ever see these? You'll click it and every like ranking is a new page. So like number 25, click next, reloads a new page. Number 24, click next. What this does is it generates 25 ad impressions per ad for one story. It's a trick. The page will have 10 ads, 25 pages. One person generates 250 worthless impressions. They then sell the rights to distribute ads against those impressions to a major company. The major company then says to the big advertisers, we're getting about 100 million views per month. So you should advertise with us because we're the big dogs. When in reality, they were getting 30 million and 70 million were coming from these jacked up fake ad rights distribution models. Talk about a scandal. They were all doing it. And they all claimed, we have to, because if we don't, they will, and then we lose. The argument was the advertiser is going to get a package, 10 grand for 10 million views. And if we tell them the truth about our views, we're going to say it's 10 grand for 100,000 views. And they're going to say, well, it's not worth it, right? Even though ours were real people and theirs were fake. So what happened? Everyone started lying. Welcome to the dead internet, my friends. It is all one big lie swirling all around you. Now, how do I know y'all are real? Apparently, y'all live in Pittsburgh. I went to Pittsburgh and everybody was like, oh, hey, it's Tim Pool. Really cool. And I think it's kind of obvious. We talked about this. The highest density of viewership is Chicago for us. And the coasts play a role in this. But then I'm like, it's kind of obvious, right? East Coast, West Coast, they have their cultures and their sensibilities. And then there's Midwestern, which is separate. Midwestern overlaps with some Southern and some East Coast, but it makes sense. I'm from Chicago. I have Chicago sensibilities, fairly moderate. We're all kind of regular, salt of the earth, working class people. It's like the blue dog Democrats, and it's like the blue collar Democrats, working class guys. Yeah, Democrats who were pro 2A. Well, the coasts have taken over the Democratic Party. They've become the liberal limousine elites and the woke left, and now you can see what's happening. I think for the most part, though, there's deep conservative shows, then there's leftist woke shows, and then there's like, perhaps we are the Midwestern sensibility show, I suppose. I don't know. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. The point is this. I love this story. There's the proof for all of you. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.